Good morning, sisters. In the name of the Governance Task Force, Kate Brake, Joanne Falker, Angela Gannon, Lauren Hanley, Teresa Scanlon, Susan Wilcox, and myself, Mary Ellen Kane, I welcome you to this pre-chapter session. We wish that we could meet with you in person, but that is not possible at this time. We believe that we can virtually provide you with the information that you will need for the chapter assembly on October 17th. As we begin this session, we want first and most importantly to focus on our mission of unity. It is our intent that all we share, all that we decide, will further our CSJ mission. As we always do, we call to mind what is already in our Constitution. Governance, as a ministry of service in our congregation, fosters our spirit and life, and supports and encourages fidelity to our mission. Our commitment to the principle of shared decision-making leads us to select forms of governance which require all of us, both those who govern and those governed, to be responsible and accountable. The President has the authority and responsibility to govern the entire congregation according to our Constitution, the decrees of the General Chapter and Church law. She and all sisters who govern us exercise their leadership and authority with due respect for subsidiarity and in the spirit of the gospel. We bring to this endeavor an ever-deepening self-awareness, an expanding capacity for compassion, empathy, and acceptance of the other, growing willingness to let go of all that has been acquired over a lifetime for the sake of the common good, desire to invest in a future one may never see, but about which one cares deeply. We are called individually and communally to carry these values into our conversations now and in the future. We do not come empty-handed to the material we will discuss. We bring our vision, as stated in the 1986 Vision Statement, which has consistently guided us for more than 34 years. We believe that we create the future as we move with the Spirit. And most importantly, we bring our mission of unity to bring all into union with God and with one another. Today's agenda will consist of 3 parts: the context for our proposals, the proposals themselves, and the next steps. As we begin our presentation today, we want to share the context for our proposal and what we have accomplished these past years. During this period of 3.5 years, we have experienced a great commitment to one another through our participation. We have participated through presentations at assemblies, listening sessions, neighborhood gatherings, large and small group meetings, personal and communal reflection, by sharing readings and resource materials. We have experienced discussions and clarifications, review of documents, collation of responses, writing, rewriting, and rewording. As a congregation, we have moved from I to we as we have deepened our relationships. Rooted in our mission, we live and work to bring all into union with God and one another. We recognize that we are at a crucial time in history for our country, for the earth, and for all of creation. This leads us to the question: what are the choices that we are being asked to make at this time? As Sisters of St. Joseph, we are always called into deeper union with the dear neighbor and into participation in the transformation of the world. The poet Adrienne Rich expresses it in these words: "My heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who, age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world." Sisters, let us cast our lot with those who wish to reconstitute the world. And our prayer today is a reflection on Adrienne Rich's poem through music and photography.
back to the...
Good morning, sisters. We're having some difficulty trying to get the video, but perhaps before the session's over, we'll be able to return to it. If not, we'll post it for another time. Some of the material that we are going to share with you now on governance proposals, you have seen much of this before. Other parts are new, but in each instance, the proposal that we have put together reflects the feedback that we have received from you at assemblies, listening sessions, surveys, and small groups that got together on their own. The chapter proposals will include three major components. They are the disbursement of authority model of governance, the role of the community life coordinator, and the leadership council. In each instance of the proposal that we are presenting, we are using a similar format, which begins with rationale, followed by because we believe, and then finally the proposal itself. We begin now with the disbursement of authority model of governance. Our mission of unity is central to the manner in which we live and work. Our mission calls us to model for others a style of governance that is welcoming, inclusive, collaborative, transparent, and relational. Significant decisions affecting the life of the sisters, the operations of the congregation, and the future directions of religious life require specialized skills, expertise, education, and input on the part of many individuals. This is our rationale for the disbursement of authority model. Over the past few years in our presentations and at listening sessions, we heard your voices express your vision, your hopes, your beliefs, and you submitted those to us, the task force. We now return to you a summary of what we believe. Because we believe, the voice of each sister is to be honored in the ongoing decision-making processes. That the Leadership Council is called to work collaboratively and to delegate appropriate authority and responsibility to those who partner with us in the operation of the congregation. Leadership will always retain authority related to canonical matters, acceptance of new members, dismissal of a member, approval for for vows, the missioning of a sister to a particular work. You will see in another slide that the Leadership Council also has reserved authority in regard to the operations of the congregation. Because we also believe the proposed model of governance builds on the foundation of the current model, that collaboration, subsidiarity, and transparency are the hallmarks of our structures. That communal discernment is the process by which significant decisions affecting the whole of the congregation will be used. The proposed model builds on the foundation of the current model. The added dimension is that the members of the congregation are involved when significant decisions are going to be made. Also, the departments in the organization are seen in a circular graphic rather than a linear one. Our emphasis on communal discernment is a new dimension of our governance proposal. We have had some experiences of this process when Mary Dacey introduced it at the January pre-chapter session, as well as other opportunities that we were offered to us through the congregation. Mary also described the process at our recent area meetings, and that information is now posted under the chapter tab on the congregation's website. Let's take another look at the model that represents the future functioning of the congregation and its governance responsibility. And I'm going to turn that over to Kate for the explanation.
As you can see, mission and charism are central to this structure, and the leadership members are the guardians of that mission. A guardian not only protects, but also nurtures, guides, encourages, promotes, provides directions. Member participation is key to the disbursement of authority model. This happens in a variety of ways and is demonstrated by the streams leading into and out from the mission and charism. These are general chapters, assemblies, committees, area meetings, neighborhood meetings, listening sessions, surveys, Zoom presentations, etc. Most of you have participated in these opportunities to raise your voice and contribute to the discussions that took place. The departments are linked together to demonstrate their collaboration not only with the Leadership Council, but also with one another. Keep in mind that the number of departments could change. These are simply here as placeholders. We envision the Leadership Council will engage the members of the congregation in matters which affect the sisters personally or communally. We also envision that the Leadership Council will meet with the department heads on a regular basis, that they will call together all or some of the department heads when significant decisions need to be made, that they will honor the principle of subsidiarity in the decision-making process. The council liaisons in the little yellow circles serve as conduits of communication between departments and with the Leadership Council. They may relate to more than one department and would facilitate appropriate departments working together on common endeavors. For this model to work, there are several elements that need to be in place. You have seen all of this before. All that we do as leadership, as members of the congregation, as well as the departments that are part of our organization, must be actively engaged in furthering the CSJ mission. In addition, the departments must develop their annual action plan, contribute to the development of the budget, and participate in an assessment process. The annual action plan and department budget are approved by the Leadership Council or their delegate, so leadership also has a voice in the works of the congregation. Angela will now present the disbursement of authority proposal.
Sisters, based on what we have said so far, we now propose that the disbursement of authority model be adopted for greater participation by members, departments, committees, and other groups in making decisions that affect the life of the congregation, and that communal discernment be used when appropriate. We would like to summarize our presentation on the disbursement of authority model by ending with this slide. We have heard it said, so what is new? As we envision this model, here's what we see as new. The new model calls for greater participation of the members in all decisions which affect them personally or communally. The new model places the departments in a circular rather than linear position in order to demonstrate their deeper participation in decision-making, collaboration, and responsibility for mission effectiveness. That communal discernment will be chosen when significant decisions need to be made at all levels of responsibility. And that all four elements will become part of the new model and will be endorsed and implemented by the future Leadership Council. We will now move on to this proposal on community life coordinators, and Joanne will begin with that.
Sisters, an area of great importance to us as a congregation is that of community life and the care of the members. And you may recall that at our virtual assembly in March, we addressed aspects of this topic with particular focus on the creation of 3-person teams, including the new position of community life coordinator. Based on the input we received from you, we now provide further clarification. Our presentation is based on the following rationale.
The care of our sisters and the animating of local community life are priorities as we move toward our shared future.
The creation of a 3-person community life team includes a community life coordinator, a sister of St. Joseph, a healthcare coordinator, and a social worker. The Community Life Coordinator, or the CLC, will assume many of the responsibilities of the present regionals and vicars as she works alongside the other members of the team.
Because we believe the Community Life Coordinator will call forth individual sisters and local communities to grow in holiness and wholeness. And we also believe that the Community Life Coordinators will work collaboratively with members of her team to establish supportive relationships which will enable open communication and holistic care for all the sisters. And that the Community Life Coordinators will collaborate with other departments in fulfilling the CSJ mission and charism in a changing world.
In light of the decreasing number of sisters in the congregation, it seems reasonable to restructure what are presently our 5 regions into 3 geographic areas and our Living with Assistance and Maria Regina communities. We envision that the current congregational convents and residences might be grouped according to their relative geographic proximity, and that consideration would be given to ensure an equal number of sisters in each geographic area. The sisters living in Puerto Rico would align with one of those geographic areas.
We also believe a community life team consisting of the Community Life Coordinator, a healthcare coordinator, and a social worker will best serve the needs of the sisters in the 3 geographical areas, Living with Assistance houses and Maria Regina. Because administrators, healthcare personnel, and social workers are already in place in the Living with Assistance houses and Maria Regina, only a community life coordinator would be needed for those houses. The CLC will work collaboratively with those already in place. The community life teams in the geographic areas and the Living with Assistance houses and Maria Regina will function collaboratively in making decisions where appropriate and will support one another in all common endeavors.
The process by which the community life coordinators are to be chosen has generated a considerable amount of discussion. We are very aware of the right each sister has for her voice to be acknowledged. In the past, our voices have been heard as we cast our ballot at a regional meeting in a formal election. However, at this time in our history, we have affirmed the process of communal discernment as the lens through which we will conduct our chapter deliberations and choose a new leadership council. In light of this, and considering your input and our discussions as a task force, our proposal for choosing community life coordinators centers on the communal discernment process. The process used would be similar to that which will be used in choosing the new leadership council.
We believe there are a number of ways in which our voices are heard through the communal discernment process: prayer, reflection, conversation, and discernment. The names of sisters who could best serve as community life coordinators will surface through the communal discernment process. The final choice for the CLCs for the geographic areas and Living with Assistance houses and Maria Regina will be affirmed by the newly elected Leadership Council.
Therefore, because we propose that the congregation choose Sisters of St. Joseph as community life coordinators to work collaboratively with healthcare coordinators and social workers as members of the community life teams in the newly designated geographic areas, Living with Assistance houses, and Maria Regina residence, and that the congregation use the process of communal discernment to choose sisters as community life coordinators. So, what is new? The creation of community life teams and the role of the community life coordinator within the team. The restructuring of what are presently known as our 5 regions into 3 geographic areas. And communal discernment as the process for choosing community life coordinators. Sisters, these 3 aspects represent new ways for us to consider how we will move forward into an uncharted but nonetheless blessed future. Now I invite Teresa to continue with the presentation on the topic of the Leadership Council.
We begin again with the rationale. Leaders are the guardians of the mission, as together we strive to live out our charism in this fractured and divided world. The disbursement of authority model for governance calls for leaders who will engage the members and those who share administrative responsibilities when decisions are made that affect them individually or corporately. Leaders collaborate with our CSJ Federation, LCWR, and other diocesan, local, and national organizations which impact our mission and the role of women religious. Because we believe governance is a ministry of service, that fosters fidelity to the mission. Because we believe those elected to lead the congregation will honor the giftedness and expertise of others. Because we believe the Leadership Council will promote inclusivity, collaboration, and subsidiarity in their relationship with the members of the congregation and our partners in ministry. Because we believe, we propose that the Leadership Council continue to be composed of President, 4 counselors, Secretary, and Treasurer. The Secretary and/or Treasurer may also be a counselor. And again, what is new? While the composition of the Leadership Council remains the same, the distribution of authority model will affect the manner in which the Leadership Council collaborates and interacts with the sisters, associates, our partners in mission, and all those who have committed themselves to living the mission and charism of the Brentwood CSJ congregation. Lauren will now explain the next steps as we prepare for the October 17th assembly.
As has been noted, we have chosen communal discernment as the process for our chapter deliberations. Communal discernment calls us, after input and discussions, to prayerfully reflect both personally and communally on each proposal. The focus is on moving from the I to the we. The question, does the proposal help us as a congregation to move forward with our mission? In the last years, we've had numerous opportunities in a variety of formats to receive input, to discuss, and to provide feedback on the content of the proposals presented today by the Governing Task Force. On October 17th, we will meet to discern our congregation's response to these proposals. In preparation for that meeting, we ask that during the next weeks, we each prayerfully reflect on and discern in small groups, either virtual or in person, our response to the following questions. Do we believe that we can affirm the essential elements of the proposals presented? That these proposals will move us forward in continuing to discover the common vision that lies in the depths of our shared life. That in the space where our lives are threaded together with others, these proposals will help us co-author a vision for the future which is of God. We recognize that there will always be details that need to be addressed in implementing the proposals and aspects of the structure that need to be nuanced. This will happen in the experience of living into the evolving structures. We are asking at this time for you to reflect on all that you have heard and prayed with and answer these questions. Again, the emphasis is on what do we believe. After prayer, reflection, small group discussion, and listening to the communal responses, are there remaining questions or concerns about these proposals? If yes, please send the questions, concerns to, or speak with Angela Gannon or any member of the Government Task Force. Because of time constraints, we are asking you to respond by October 9th. Thank you. Now Angela will conclude our time together.
Sisters, we're now going to present to you the summary and the specific wording of the proposals that you will deal with at the October meeting. For the disbursement of authority model, the proposal is that the disbursement of authority model be adopted for greater participation by members, departments, committees, and other groups in making decisions that affect the life of the congregation, and that communal discernment be used when appropriate. The proposal on community life coordinators, that the congregation choose sisters as community life coordinators to work collaboratively with healthcare coordinators and social workers as members of the community life teams in the newly designated geographic areas, the Living with Assistance houses, and our Maria Regina residence. And further, that the congregation use communal discernment to choose sisters as community life coordinators. The proposal on Leadership Council, that the Leadership Council continue to be composed of a president, 4 counselors, secretary, treasurer, and we also add that the secretary and/or treasurer may also be a counselor. And so in bringing our session to a close this morning, on behalf of the committee, we wish to say, it has been our privilege to work with you, our sisters, for the past 3 years on this proposal. We are well aware that no structure is perfect. It is people who bring the vision to reality and make it better than one could even imagine or hope for. Such an endeavor calls each of us to proceed with trust, with humility, and with full confidence that God's grace will guide us now and into the future. Thank you, sisters, for your participation in this live streaming event, and we hope to share the video for prayer at some future point. So thank you very much.